Hey guys, hold on tight and don't be afraid to get a little wet. We are splashing into episode 3 of season 2 of Thrilling Sound. I am truly having so much fun this season. We are about halfway through, and I am proud of how far this project has come. Thank you for listening, and please consider subscribing to the channel as we begin to close out on this awesome season. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge the history of this attraction. While many, including myself, have fond memories of the older attraction that stood in this place, we must acknowledge that growth and inclusion are always beneficial. Seeing guests be able to see themselves in the current form of this attraction, from the youngest princesses to the oldest jazz musicians, will always bring joy to my heart. When Tiana's Bayou adventure was announced, the first expectation for many guests was that the music would be incredible. That expectation has been met. From an audio design perspective, this attraction is a fantastic case study. The story is rooted in a vivid time and place, giving the experience a clear and distinct sound. The framework of 1920 New Orleans sets the stage for creative audio choices. Within those boundaries, jazz allows for experimentation. It thrives on improvisation, on bending the rules just enough to create something fresh, and that energy is reflected throughout the entire attraction. This same sense of structure and creativity carries into the story. Tiana's Bayou adventure takes place after the events of the film. Tiana is now a successful business owner preparing to host a Mardi Gras celebration. She is searching for a special ingredient, and guests are invited to join her on a journey throughout the bayou to find it. Along the way, new animal characters help move the story forward. The twist is that the ingredient she is missing is not something physical. It is music, specifically music that unites people. The core message of the attraction is that music brings communities together, and that sense of unity is what completes the celebration. This idea is communicated primarily through the attraction's soundscape. The music does not just enhance the story, it gives it direction and emotional weight. In this case, music becomes the theme itself. The result is an experience that feels warm, vibrant, and deeply connected to the culture it celebrates. One of the most brilliant and understated pieces of audio design in Tiana's Bayou adventure is found in the queue, where a fictional radio station plays era-accurate jazz music. The radio station isn't just background noise. It is a narrative tool. It places us in a specific time and place, 1920s New Orleans, before we ever see a single animatronic. The static between the songs, the vintage radio voice, the grainy texture of the recordings, all of it helps sell the idea that we are stepping into a living world, not a fantasy, but a memory. The musical selections are carefully curated. They include New Orleans brass, Creole jazz, and early swing that would have been played on real radios at the time. It is music that would have filled the streets of the French Quarter, and by embedding that in the cue, Imagineering doesn't just tell us where we are, they let us listen to it. I also love that this radio station bridges the gap between generations. For older guests, the music might feel nostalgic or familiar. For younger ones, it feels fresh and exciting. Either way, it pulls us in, it sets a tone, and most importantly, it sets expectations. We're not just here to ride, we're here to celebrate a culture, a sound, and a city that shaped American music. Cue audio is often overlooked in attractions, but here it becomes the prologue. It welcomes us into a world and reminds us that in Tiana's story, music isn't just decoration, it is the heartbeat. Let's talk about a moment in the attraction where the story and the sound finally lock into place. The Frog Band. In this scene, we meet a group of frogs playing instruments made from objects found in the bayou. It is whimsical, creative, and deeply rooted in culture. Each frog is inspired by a musical tradition, from New Orleans jazz to Afro-Cuban rhythms to Zydeco. That's no accident. Imagineers worked with artists like Terrence Blanchard and PJ Morton to ensure that sounds represented in the ride reflected real musical communities. These are not cartoon approximations, these are homages to living traditions. One of my favorite parts of this scene is how the mix is handled. You'll hear trumpets on your left, a washboard rhythm behind you, a conga pattern in front of you. The sound design doesn't just play music at you, it places you inside the band. The frogs aren't on a stage, they're around you. You are part of their jam session. That is spatial audio at its best. It's not about left and right, but near and far and high and low. It turns the boat into a stage and the guests into participants. I also love that the speakers are hidden behind larger than life leaves. It supports the story being the size of the frogs, and it just looks so darn cute. Remember, Tiana is searching for a special ingredient, and in this moment, we realize it's not just spice, it's not a flavor, it's music. Specifically, music that brings people together. This little frog jam session is a symbol of community, different voices, different instruments, all working together in harmony. That is the heart of this attraction. In a way, the ride itself is a band. It brings together storytelling, music, technology, and representation. And just like jazz, it makes space for improvisation and individuality. But only when those parts come together can it really sing. The crown jewel of audio in this attraction comes at the very end when Anika Noni Rose, the original voice of Tiana, reprises her role for the finale song. This moment is powerful for so many reasons. First, there is the emotional weight, hearing Tiana's actual voice, not a sound alike or a generic background vocal. It brings a sense of authenticity. It reminds us that this is not just a ride inspired by a movie, it is a continuation of the story, led by the same woman who first gave Tiana her voice. And vocally, she brings something only she can. Her performance carries warmth, joy, and conviction. You can feel the pride and purpose in her voice. It is not just a musical number, it is a celebration. From a design perspective, this moment also ties the attraction together. All the musical threads we heard earlier, the horns, percussion, and string textures, come together behind her in a full arrangement. The sound feels bigger, fuller, and more emotionally rich. After meeting new characters and hearing playful instrumentation, this moment brings us back to the heart of the story. Tiana was never just chasing a business, she was building a place for community, and that message lands beautifully here. In themed entertainment, it is rare to have a performer return for something this meaningful. It makes the experience feel complete, not just a tribute, but a true continuation of the story, told by the voice we all love and recognize. Can music be a theme? In Tiana's Bayou adventure, it absolutely can. Music is not only central to the attraction's story, but is the very thing that holds it together. From the radio in the queue, to the frogs in the bayou, to Tiana's triumphant finale, the music carries us through a journey that feels joyful, intentional, and deeply rooted in culture. This attraction reminds us that storytelling doesn't always need to be explained in words. Sometimes it's something you feel. It's in a melody, a rhythm, a voice that makes you stop and smile. And when storytelling comes from a place of care and representation, it becomes even more powerful. Thank you for listening to this episode of Thrilling Sound. I hope it inspired you to think about music not just as background, but as a driving force in themed entertainment. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing, sharing, or leaving a comment down below. Every bit of support helps keep this project going. Next time on Thrilling Sound, we are staying in the South. We're headed to Grizzly Hall for a brand new take on a beloved classic, the Country Bear musical Jamboree. This reimagining trades parody for authenticity, featuring real Nashville recording artists and a heartfelt arrangement of familiar tunes. Is it good? Is it bad? Or is it just different? We'll break down the new vocal performances, instrumentation, and how the attraction balances nostalgia with fresh direction. If you ever wondered what happens when Imagineering goes full Grand Ole Opry, this is the episode for you. Until then, please exit all the way to your left and keep your ears open.